The stars looked different now. Commander Zextel pressed his scaled face against the viewing port of his flagship and watched the empty void with cold yellow eyes. His species had ruled this part of the galaxy for 3,000 years. The Valerian Empire stretched across 40 star systems and controlled the lives of billions. They were the strongest, the smartest, and the most feared race in known space. Zextel had just finished destroying another weak colony on the edge of Ev. The Outer Rim. The inhabitants had tried to resist paying their tribute taxes. They learned the hard way that defying the Empire was a death sentence. Now their world was nothing but burning ruins and scattered bones. "Commander," called out his second officer from the navigation station, "we are picking up something strange on the long-range sensors." Zextel turned away from the window. His bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. They knew better than to disturb him unless it was important. The Valerian military did not tolerate weakness or mistakes. "What kind of strange?" he asked. "A large vessel, sir, very large. It appears to be drifting near the Kepler 442 system." Zextel walked over to the main tactical display. The holographic image showed a massive object floating in the darkness between two dead planets. It was huge, easily 3 times the size of his own dreadnought. "Any identification markings? Energy signatures?" "None, sir. The ship appears to be completely dead. No power readings, no life signs, no response to our scanning attempts." Zextel studied the image more carefully. The vessel was unlike anything he had seen before. Its hull was smooth and black, almost seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with an inner light that pulsed like a heartbeat. "How long has it been there?" "Unknown, sir. Our records show no previous contact with this vessel or its design." This was interesting. In 3,000 years of galactic conquest, the Valerians had encountered many different species and their technologies. They had stolen the best ideas and destroyed the rest. But this ship was completely new. "Sir," another officer spoke up from the communication station, "I am detecting valuable metals in the hull composition. The scanners show materials we have never seen before." Zextel felt his greed stirring. Unknown technology meant profit. New materials meant weapons. Weapons meant more power for the Empire. "Set course for the vessel. Full speed." "Yes, sir." The Valerian fleet changed direction and headed toward the mysterious ship. Zextel commanded 12 heavy cruisers and 47 destroyers. It was more than enough firepower to handle any threat they might encounter. As they got closer, the true size of the unknown vessel became clear. It was enormous, stretching for miles in every direction. Its hull was covered in what looked like armor, plating, but the metal seemed to shift and flow like liquid in the starlight. "Sir, I am reading internal structures. Corridors, chambers, what might be living quarters. This is definitely a warship." "Any signs of weapons?" "Negative, sir. The hull appears to be completely sealed. No visible weapon ports or defensive systems." Zextel smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Then we have found ourselves a prize. Signal the boarding teams. I want that ship secured and searched." "Sir, should we attempt to make contact first?" "Standard protocol requires—" "Protocol is for dealing with equals." Zextel cut him off. "This is obviously an abandoned derelict. We are claiming it as salvage under Imperial law." The boarding teams prepared quickly. Valerian soldiers were trained from birth to fight and conquer. They wore powered armor that could withstand the vacuum of space and carried plasma weapons that could cut through solid steel. Zextel watched as the assault shuttles launched from his flagship. 20 teams of 10 soldiers each. More than enough to secure a dead ship. "Sir, the shuttles are approaching the target vessel." They are beginning cutting operations on the outer hull. Good. Signal me when they have secured the bridge and engineering sections. But deep inside the black ship, something was stirring. Ancient systems that had slept for 5,000 years began to wake up. Emergency protocols activated. Warning lights flashed in empty corridors. The ship was called the UN's Retribution. It was a human dreadnought, one of the most advanced warships ever built by Earth's children. Its crew had been sleeping in cryogenic pods for 5 millennia, waiting for the day they would be needed again. That day had come. In the medical bay, Captain Jake Morrison felt the revival process beginning. Warm liquid flowed through tubes connected to his body. His heart began to beat faster. His mind cleared as the sleep drugs were flushed from his system. The pod opened with a soft hiss. Morrison sat up slowly, his muscles stiff from the long sleep. Around him, hundreds of other pods were beginning to activate. His crew was waking up. "Oracle, report," he said to the ship's artificial intelligence. "Captain, we have been boarded by unknown hostiles. Species identification is in progress. Current galactic status shows humanity presumed extinct. Time elapsed since beginning of mission. 5,000 years, 3 months, 12 days. Morrison stood up and reached for his uniform. 5,000 years. The galaxy had changed while they slept. "Show me the borders." A holographic display appeared in front of him. He watched as alien soldiers in strange armor cut through his ship's hull. They moved with confidence, like they owned the place. Species identified as Valerian. Limited. Data available. They appear to be using primitive plasma-cutting tools to breach our outer defenses. Morrison smiled grimly. Primitive was right. These aliens had no idea what they were dealing with. Wake the senior staff. Full combat alert. Activate all defensive systems. Yes, Captain. Throughout the ship, more crew members were waking up. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Rodriguez climbed out of her pod and immediately began checking her equipment. Lieutenant Ben Carter activated his tactical station and began analyzing the threat. They were soldiers, trained and ready. The long sleep had not dulled their skills or their determination. On the bridge of his flagship, Zexthel was growing impatient. His boarding teams had been inside the alien vessel for 20 minutes, and he had heard nothing from them. Communications. Contact the boarding teams. I want the status report. Sir, we are having trouble reaching them. There seems to be some kind of interference. What kind of interference? Unknown, sir. The signal is being blocked by something inside the ship. Zexthel felt the first stirring of unease. Dead ships did not have interference. Dead ships did not block communications. Sir? Called out the sensor operator. I am detecting power signatures from the target vessel. Very faint, but definitely there. That is impossible. The ship was completely dead when we arrived. Sir, the readings are getting stronger. Zexthel stared at the tactical display. The black ship no longer looked quite so harmless. Along its hull, faint lights were beginning to glow. The strange symbols were pulsing faster now. Sir, I am reading massive energy buildup in the target vessel. Power levels are beyond our instrument's ability to measure. All ships move to attack formation. Charge all weapons. But it was already too late. The UN's Retribution was fully awake now. Captain Morrison stood on his bridge and looked out at the alien fleet surrounding his ship. They had made a very serious mistake. Oracle, open a channel to the alien commander. Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Nations Ship Retribution. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your forces, or we will consider this an act of war. The response came quickly. The alien voice was filled with arrogance and contempt. This is Commander Zexthel of the Valerian Empire. You will surrender your vessel immediately or be destroyed. Morrison looked around his bridge. His crew was ready. They had been ready for 5,000 years. Oracle, target their flagship. Prepare to fire. The communication channel went silent. Commander Zextel stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The alien captain had just threatened him. Him, the most feared commander in the Valerian Empire. No one had dared to speak to him like that. In decades. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked his weapons officer. "All ships open fire. Destroy that vessel immediately." The Valerian fleet unleashed its full power. Plasma cannons fired streams of superheated energy. Missile batteries launched. Volleys of antimatter warheads. The combined firepower was enough to crack a planet's surface, but something impossible happened. The weapons struck an invisible barrier around the black ship and simply stopped. The energy beams scattered harmlessly into space. The missiles exploded against nothing, their nuclear fire dissipating like smoke. "Sir, our weapons are having no effect. The target appears to have some kind of defensive screen." "Impossible. No known technology can stop that level of firepower." "Sir, the target is returning fire." Zexthol looked up just in time to see death approaching. A single beam of pure white light shot out from the black ship. It struck his flagships, shields, and passed through them like they were made of paper. The beam hit the forward section of his dreadnought and cut through the armor like it was soft butter. Emergency alarms screamed throughout the ship. Damage reports flooded in from every section. Half of his forward weapons were gone. 3 decks had been completely vaporized. And that was just from one shot. Damage report. "Sir, we have lost 40% of our forward firepower. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. We are venting atmosphere." "How is that possible? Our shields should have stopped any weapon." "Sir, I do not know. The energy signature is unlike anything in our database." On the bridge of the UNS Retribution, Captain Morrison watched the results of his warning shot with satisfaction. The alien flagship was badly damaged, but still operational. That had been the point. Oracle, analysis of enemy capabilities. "Captain, their weapons technology is approximately 3,000 years behind our current systems. Their shields are primitive electromagnetic barriers. Their armor is standard Durasteel composite." Assessment. Minimal threat. Morrison nodded. It was what he had expected. Humanity had been advancing for 5,000 years, while the rest of the galaxy stood still. "Sir?" called out Lieutenant Colonel Rodriguez from the tactical station. "We have a problem. Our boarding teams are still inside the alien vessel. They cut through our hull before we woke up." "How many?" "Approximately 200 alien soldiers, sir. They are moving toward our reactor core." Morrison turned to his security chief. "Lieutenant Brooks, deal with the intruders. Non-lethal if possible. I want some of them alive for questioning." "Yes, sir." Deep inside the Retribution, Lieutenant Sam Brooks was already moving. He had been awake for only 10 minutes, but he was fully combat ready. His team of 20 security specialists moved through the ship's corridors like ghosts. The Valerian soldiers were easy to track. They moved in large groups, making noise and using primitive cutting tools to force their way through sealed doors. They had no idea they were being hunted. Brooks activated his adaptive camouflage and became nearly invisible. His team spread out through the ship, surrounding the alien intruders. The Valerians had advanced deep into the ship, but they were walking into a trap. Team leader to all units. Target the leaders first. Use stun weapons only. We want prisoners. The attack came from everywhere at once. The Valerians found themselves fighting an enemy they could barely see. Their plasma weapons struck empty air, while invisible opponents stunned them with weapons they had never encountered before. Squad leader Veltar tried to rally his troops. Form defensive positions. Watch for the stun beam hit him in the chest, and he collapsed. Around him, his soldiers were falling one by one. They could not fight what they could not see. In less than 5 minutes, the battle was over. The Valerian boarding teams were either unconscious or dead. The few survivors were quickly secured and taken to the ship's holding cells. Bridge, this is Brooks. All intruders neutralized. We have 15 prisoners for interrogation. Good work, Lieutenant. Bring them to interrogation room 3. On the bridge, Morrison was studying the tactical situation. The alien fleet was still out there, but they seemed confused and frightened. Their flagship was damaged, and they had lost contact with their boarding teams. "Sir," called out Communications Officer Kate Thompson, "we are receiving multiple transmissions from the alien fleet. They appear to be calling for reinforcements. How many ships are they calling?" "Unknown, sir. But the transmissions are being sent to multiple star systems." Morrison considered this. More enemies meant more targets. But it also meant the galaxy would learn about humanity's return sooner than planned. "Oracle, what is the current political situation in this sector?" "Captain, the Valerian Empire controls 40 star systems through military force. They are known for slavery, genocide, and brutal oppression of weaker species. They are considered the primary threat to galactic stability." "Perfect. Then no. One will miss them." On the alien flagship, Zexthil was trying to understand what had happened. His best soldiers had vanished without a trace. His most powerful weapons had failed completely. And the mysterious black ship sat there like a predator waiting to strike again. "Sir, we are receiving responses to our distress calls. Fleet Admiral Colthaner is dispatching the 3rd Battle Group to assist us. How long until they arrive?" 18 hours, sir." "And our boarding teams?" "Still no contact, sir. We must assume they are dead or captured." Zexthil felt fear for the first time in decades. Whatever these aliens were, they were far beyond anything the Empire had faced before. Their technology was superior in every way. "Sir, the alien ship is moving." Zexthil looked at the tactical display. The black ship was slowly turning toward his fleet. Weapon ports were opening along its hull. The strange symbols on its surface were glowing brighter. "All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance. Do not engage unless fired upon." "Sir, are we running from one ship?" "We are making a tactical withdrawal," Zexthil corrected, "until we understand what we are dealing with." But retreat was not an option. The black ship began to accelerate, moving faster than any vessel its size should be able to move. It was heading straight for the Valerian fleet. On the Retribution's bridge, Morrison stood before the main view screen. The alien fleet was spread out before him, their ships primitive and vulnerable. "Sir, we are receiving another transmission from the alien commander." "Put it through." Zexthil's image appeared on the screen. The alien looked terrified, but was trying to hide it. "Unknown vessel. I am prepared to negotiate. We can discuss terms." "There are no terms," Morrison interrupted. "You boarded my ship. You attacked my crew. You threatened my vessel. In human law, that is an act of war. Please, we did not know. You did not know that actions have consequences. You did not know that someone might be stronger than you. You did not know that the galaxy is about to change." Morrison gestured to his weapons officer. "Commander Park, target their engines. Disable their fleet." "Yes, sir." The Retributions. Weapons came online. Energy readings spiked to levels that broke the Valerian instruments. The black ship's hull began to glow with barely contained power. "Sir, we are detecting massive energy buildup in the alien vessel. Power levels are beyond measurement." Zexthil realized he was about to die. His empire, his fleet, his dreams of conquest. All about to end because he had made one simple mistake. He had awakened humanity. Fire, Morrison said quietly. The word was barely a whisper, but its effects were immediate. The UN's Retribution's main guns spoke with the voice of 5,000 years of human advancement. Quantum plasma beams shot out from the ship's hull, moving faster than the aliens could track. The first beam struck the lead Valerian cruiser. The ship's shields failed instantly. The plasma cut through the hull like a hot knife through ice. The cruiser broke apart in a brilliant explosion that lit up the darkness of space. Direct hit, sir. Enemy vessel destroyed. Morrison watched the tactical display with cold satisfaction. The alien fleet was scattering, trying to get away from his ship. But they were too slow and too primitive to escape. Target their engines. I want them disabled, not destroyed. We need to send a message. Yes, sir. The Retribution's secondary weapons came online. Smaller but more precise than the main guns. They reached out across space and began systematically crippling the alien fleet. One by one, the Valerian ships found themselves dead in space, their engines destroyed and their weapons offline. Zex Thill watched in horror as his fleet was dismantled with surgical precision. The aliens were not trying to kill them all. They were showing off, demonstrating their complete superiority. Sir, we have lost engines. Weapons are offline. We are defenseless. How many ships do we have left? 32, sir, but all are disabled. In less than 10 minutes, the most feared fleet in the sector had been reduced to helpless scrap metal. The black ship had done it without even seeming to try. On the Retribution's bridge, Morrison studied the results of the engagement. His crew had performed flawlessly. Not a single shot had been wasted. Oracle scanned the disabled vessels. How many? Survivors? Approximately 40,000 alien personnel, Captain. Most are uninjured? Good. Open a channel to their flagship. Zex Thill's face appeared on the screen again. The alien commander looked defeated and afraid. Your fleet is disabled. Morrison said, Your weapons are offline. Your people are at my mercy. Do you understand your situation? Yes, Zextel said quietly. Good. Now you're going to answer some questions. What is the current state of the galaxy? The galaxy is divided among several major powers. The Valerian Empire controls the outer rim. The hegemony rules the core worlds. What happened to humanity? Zextel looked confused. Humanity? I do not understand. The species that built this ship. What happened to them? Sir, there are no records of any species matching your description. Our historical databases go back 5,000 years. Morrison exchanged glances with his senior staff. 5,000 years. That was exactly how long they had been asleep. Oracle ran a full scan of the Galactic Communication Network. I want to know what has happened while we were away. Yes, Captain. While the AI worked, Morrison turned his attention back to the alien commander. Tell me about your empire. How many worlds do you control? 40 star systems, sir. We are the dominant power in this sector. How do you maintain control? Through military force, sir. We have the strongest fleet and the most advanced weapons. Morrison smiled grimly. You had the strongest fleet? What do you do to worlds that resist? We destroy them, sir. It is the only way to maintain order. And species that cannot defend themselves? They serve the Empire, sir. It is their purpose. Morrison felt his anger growing. These aliens were slavers and murderers. They had spent 5,000 years terrorizing the galaxy while humanity slept. Oracle, report on galactic conditions. Captain, the galaxy is in a state of constant warfare. Multiple empires compete for territory and resources. Slavery is common. Genocide is routine. Estimated total deaths from warfare in the past millennium. Over 200 billion sentient beings. The bridge fell silent. 200 billion deaths. While humanity had been sleeping, the galaxy had become a slaughterhouse. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Carter from the tactical station, "I am detecting multiple ships approaching. Large fleet, estimated time to arrival, 6 hours. How many ships?" "At least 200, sir. They appear to be reinforcements for the Valerian fleet." Morrison nodded. "More targets." "Oracle, what is the total size of the Valerian military?" "Approximately 8,000 ships, Captain. They maintain fleets in all 40 of their star systems." "And their total population?" "Roughly 100 billion individuals, sir." Morrison studied the tactical display. 100 billion slavers and murderers. 8,000 ships full of soldiers who had spent their lives destroying other species. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the approaching fleet." "Put it through." A new alien face appeared on the screen. This one was larger than Zexthal, with more scars and a harder expression. "This is Fleet Admiral Coldthauner of the 3rd Battle Group. Unknown vessel. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. This is Captain Morrison of the United Nations. Ship Retribution. Your advance force attacked my vessel without provocation. They have been disabled. You have 30 seconds to withdraw, or you will share their fate." The alien admiral laughed. "One ship against 200? You are either very brave or very stupid." "Oracle, targeting solution for the approaching fleet." "Solutions calculated, Captain. All enemy vessels are within range of our long-range weapons." Morrison looked at the alien admiral. "You have been warned. What happens next is your choice." The transmission ended. Morrison turned to his weapons officer. "Commander Park, prepare the main guns. Full power." "Sir, are we really going to fight 200 ships?" "We are going to destroy 200 ships," Morrison corrected. "There is a difference." The Retribution's hull began to glow with energy. Power levels that had been unimaginable to the aliens were now being channeled into the ship's weapon systems. "Sir, the approaching fleet is accelerating. They are moving to attack formation. Let them come." 6 hours later, the Valerian reinforcements dropped out of hyperspace. They found the debris field that had once been their advance fleet. And waiting for them in the middle of it was the black ship that had caused all the destruction. Fleet. Admiral Coldthauner stared at the tactical display in disbelief. 47 ships had been reduced to scrap metal. The survivors were broadcasting warnings about the alien vessel's capabilities. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from Commander Zexthal. He is advising us to retreat." "Retreat? From one ship?" "I think not." But even as he spoke, Coldthauner could see the energy readings from the black ship. They were beyond anything his instruments could measure. "Sir, the alien vessel is moving toward us." The Retribution accelerated to attack speed. Morrison stood on his bridge and watched the alien fleet spread out before him. 200 ships, thousands of soldiers, all of them about to learn what human technology could do. "Oracle, open a channel to the entire fleet." "Channel open, Captain." "This is your final warning. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." The response was immediate. 200 ships opened fire at once. The combined firepower was enough to sterilize a continent. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around the Retribution, but the human ship's shields held. The weapons struck the defensive barriers and dissipated harmlessly. The Retribution flew through the barrage like it was flying through a light rain. "Return fire," Morrison ordered. The Retribution's weapons spoke again. This time, Morrison did not hold back. Full power. Maximum destruction. The aliens wanted to see what human military technology could do. They were about to find out. The first volley destroyed 20 ships instantly. The second volley crippled 30 more. The third volley began systematically working through the survivors. Fleet Admiral Coldthauner watched his fleet being destroyed with methodical precision. Each shot was perfectly aimed. Each target was completely eliminated. The aliens were not just winning. They were demonstrating their complete superiority. All ships retreat. Full reverse. But it was too late. The retribution was among them now, its weapons firing in all directions. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries were being swatted aside like insects in 20 minutes. It was over. The Valerian Third Battle Group had been reduced to floating debris. The few survivors were broadcasting desperate surrender. Messages. Morrison stood on his bridge and surveyed the destruction. This was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had returned, and they were not happy about what they had found. The silence after the battle was deafening. Where moments before there had been 200 warships, now there was only debris and emergency beacons. The Valerian Third Battle Group had been completely destroyed in less than 20 minutes. Morrison stood on his bridge and watched the tactical display. A few dozen escape pods were scattered throughout the debris field. The survivors of the alien fleet were broadcasting desperate surrender messages. Oracle, how many prisoners do we have? Approximately 5,000 survivors, Captain. They are requesting rescue. Very well. Deploy recovery teams. I want their senior officers brought aboard for questioning. Yes, Captain. Morrison turned to his communications officer. Kate, I want you to tap into the Galactic Communication Network. Find out how news travels in this part of space. Already on it, sir. The aliens use a primitive hyperspace relay system. Messages can reach most of the galaxy within a few days. Perfect. Prepare a message for transmission. Full spectrum broadcast. Sir, what kind of message? Morrison smiled coldly. The kind that will get everyone's attention. While his crew prepared the broadcast, Morrison walked to the interrogation room. The alien prisoners had been secured and were waiting for him. Their leader, Fleet Admiral Cole Thenner, sat in the center of the room looking defeated. Admiral, Morrison said as he entered. I trust you are comfortable? What do you want? Cole Thenner asked. Information, and a message delivered. Morrison sat down across from the alien. Tell me about the other empires. Who else controls territory in this galaxy? A hegemony controls the core worlds. The Zephyrian Collective holds the Eastern Arm. The Krex dynasty rules the... Are they all like you? Slavers and murderers? Cole Thenner hesitated. We maintain order through strength. It is the only way to govern such a large territory. By destroying anyone who resists? By teaching them their place in the natural order. Morrison leaned forward. And what is humanity's place in this natural order? Humanity? I have never heard of such a species. You have now. And you are going to help me deliver a message to the galaxy. Morrison activated a recording device. State your name and rank. Fleet Admiral Cole Thenner of the Valerian Third Battle Group. How many ships did you command? 200 vessels. The finest warships in the Empire. And what happened to them? Cole Thenner looked down at the table. They were destroyed. By you. How long did the battle last? 20 minutes. And how many casualties did my ship take? None. Morrison turned off the recording. That message will be broadcast to every inhabited world in the galaxy, along with sensor readings from the battle and footage of your fleet's destruction. What do you want from us? I want you to carry a message back to your empire. Tell them that humanity has returned. Tell them that the age of alien dominance is over. Morrison stood up. You have 48 hours to evacuate all Valerian forces from non-Valerian worlds. Any military vessel found in occupied territory after that time will be destroyed. Impossible. We have colonies on hundreds of worlds. Military bases in dozens of systems. Then you had better start moving quickly. On the bridge, Kate Thompson was ready with the broadcast equipment. "Sir, we are ready to transmit. Begin transmission." The message went out across the galaxy at light speed, carried by hyperspace relays to every inhabited world. It contained the footage of the battle, the testimony of the surviving alien officers, and a simple message from Captain Morrison. "To all who receive this transmission, I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Nations ship Retribution. 5,000 years ago, humanity left this galaxy to explore beyond the galactic rim. We have returned to find our former home overrun by slavers, murderers, and tyrants." The message showed the destruction of the Valerian fleets, ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, being destroyed like toys. The Valerian Empire has been given 48 hours to withdraw from all occupied worlds. Any species that wishes to claim independence from alien rule has humanity's support. Any empire that continues to practice slavery or genocide will be eliminated. The message ended with a simple warning: the galaxy is under new management. On 1,000 worlds, alien leaders watched the transmission with growing fear. The unknown species had destroyed nearly 300 Valerian ships without taking a single casualty. Their technology was beyond anything the galaxy had seen, but the Valerians were not ready to surrender. In the capital city of Valak Prime, Emperor Thulvex called an emergency session of the War Council. "How many ships do we have?" he demanded. "Approximately 7,000, my lord. But after seeing the battle footage, many fleet commanders are requesting permission to withdraw." "Withdraw? From a single ship?" "My lord, the enemy vessel demonstrated capabilities far beyond our understanding. Our weapons had no effect. Our shields were useless. Then we will overwhelm them with numbers. Mobilize the entire Imperial fleet. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have. Sir, that will leave our worlds defenseless. What is the point of defending worlds if we do not survive to rule them?" The Emperor's orders went out across the Empire. Within hours, Valerian fleets were converging on the coordinates where the human ship had been detected. But Morrison was not waiting for them. The Retribution was already moving, heading deeper into Valerian space. Oracle had identified the Empire's industrial centers, their shipyards, their military academies. "Sir, we are approaching the Kelthera system. Major shipyard facility detected. How many ships are under construction?" "Approximately 200 vessels in various stages of completion." "Destroy them all." The Retribution dropped out of hyperspace near the massive orbital shipyard. The facility was enormous, stretching for hundreds of kilometers in all directions. Thousands of workers scurried about like ants. "Sir, the shipyard is broadcasting a surrender message." "Ignored. They have had 5,000 years to build a peaceful galaxy. Instead, they chose to build weapons of oppression." The Retribution's weapons spoke again. The orbital shipyard exploded in a chain reaction that could be seen from the planets. Surface: 200 warships under construction were vaporized in seconds. Next target, Oracle. The Valak Prime System Captain. Location of the Imperial Capital. Set course, full speed. The Retribution jumped to hyperspace and headed for the heart of the Valerian Empire. Behind them, the burning remains of the shipyard served as a warning to anyone who might be watching. Word of the shipyard's destruction spread quickly through the Empire. Emperor Thulvex received the news while reviewing fleet deployments. "Sir, the Kelthera facility has been destroyed. The enemy ship struck without warning. How many ships were we able to save?" "None, sir. The entire facility was obliterated." The Emperor felt fear for the first time in his reign. The aliens were not just powerful. They were ruthless, and they were coming for him. "Sir, we are receiving reports from across the Empire. The enemy vessel is moving through our territory, destroying military installations. Where are they heading? Unknown, sir. But their course seems to be leading toward the capital system. Emperor Tholvex looked out at his city. Valak Prime was the crown jewel of the empire. Billions of citizens lived in its towering spires. The greatest military minds in the galaxy worked in its war rooms. Deploy the home fleet, every ship we have. If they want the capital, they will have to go through the entire Imperial Navy. Sir, the home fleet consists of over 1,000 vessels. Surely that will be enough. It has to be. We have nothing left to throw at them. The Retribution emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Valak system. Morrison stood on his bridge and looked out at the planet that had served as the center of galactic oppression for 3,000 years. Oracle, analysis of the defensive fleet. 1,200 vessels, Captain. They are arranged in a defensive formation around the planet. And the planet's population? Approximately 10 billion inhabitants, sir. Morrison nodded. Target the military facilities only. I want the population to survive. They will need to learn how to live in a free galaxy. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the planet. Put it through. The face of Emperor Tholvex appeared on the screen. The alien ruler looked desperate, but was trying to maintain his dignity. Unknown vessel. I am Emperor Tholvex of the Valerian Empire. I offer you terms for surrender. I am Captain Morrison. There are no terms. Your empire is finished. Please, my people have families, children. They do not deserve to die for our mistakes. Your people will live, but your empire will not. Morrison gestured to his weapons officer. Commander Park, begin the bombardment. Target military installations only. The Retribution's weapons came online for the final time. The ship that had terrorized the galaxy for 5,000 years was about to end the reign of the Valerian Empire forever. And across the galaxy, other species were watching, learning, understanding that the balance of power had just shifted completely. Humanity had returned, and they were not in a forgiving mood. The bombardment of Valak Prime was swift and precise. The Retribution's weapons reached down from space and touched the planet's surface with surgical accuracy. Military bases vanished in brilliant flashes of light. Weapon factories crumbled into dust. The Imperial Navy's command center was reduced to a smoking crater, but the civilian population was untouched. Morrison had kept his word. The people would live to see their empire's end. The Valerian home fleet tried to fight back. 1,200 ships unleashed everything they had at the human vessel. But their weapons were as useless as all the others had been. The Retribution's shields held against the concentrated firepower of an entire empire. Sir, enemy fleet is maintaining formation around the planet. They refuse to break off. Then we will break them for them. Target there. Command ship. The Retribution's main gun spoke once more. The beam of pure energy struck the Imperial flagship and cut it in half. The explosion lit up the darkness of space like a new star. The rest of the fleet finally understood. They were not fighting an enemy. They were fighting extinction itself. Sir, we are receiving surrender signals from the remaining ships. Accept their surrender. Have them power down weapons and prepare to be boarded. Yes, sir. Morrison walked to the communication station. Kate, prepare another broadcast. Full galactic transmission. Ready, sir. This is Captain Morrison of the United Nations Ship Retribution. The Valerian Empire has been defeated. Their military has surrendered. Their government has fallen. All occupied worlds are hereby declared free and independent. The message went out across the galaxy. On hundreds of worlds, slave populations looked up at the sky with hope in their eyes. The empire that had ruled them for generations was gone. But Morrison was not finished. Oracle, what is the status of the other major powers? Captain, the hegemony is mobilizing their fleets. The Zephyrian Collective is fortifying their borders. The Krex dynasty is attempting to negotiate a peace treaty. They still do not understand. Show me the galactic map. The holographic display showed the galaxy divided into colored regions. Each color represented a different empire or alliance. Morrison studied the map carefully. How many species are enslaved across the galaxy? Approximately 40 billion sentient beings, Captain. And how many are living under oppressive regimes? Nearly half the galaxy's population, sir. Morrison nodded. Then our work is far from over. Kate, prepare another message. This one goes to every government in the galaxy. Yes, sir. This is Captain Morrison to all galactic powers. You have witnessed the fall of the Valerian Empire. This is your only warning. Any government that practices slavery, genocide, or the systematic oppression of other species has 72 hours to reform. After that time, you will be considered legitimate military targets. The message ended with footage of the retributions. Battles, the destruction of 300 warships, a fall of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Sir, we are receiving responses from across the galaxy. Most are requesting negotiations. There are no negotiations. Oracle, how many other ships like the Retribution are there? Captain, the Second Fleet consists of 47 vessels currently in hibernation. The Third Fleet has 31 ships. The Fourth Fleet, how many ships total? 300. And 12 vessels, sir, all equipped with the same technology as the Retribution. Morrison smiled. Wake them up, all of them. Sir, that will require enormous amounts of power. Then use it. The galaxy is about to learn what human fleet action looks like. Across the galaxy, hidden in the depths of space, other human ships began to stir. The UN's vengeance was the first to wake. Captain Lisa Martinez opened her eyes and immediately began receiving updates from Oracle. Captain, you have been awakened by direct order of Fleet Admiral Morrison. Mission parameters have changed. We are no longer on a reconnaissance mission. We are liberating the galaxy. Understood. Wake the crew. Set course for the hegemony capital. The UNS destroyer awakened next, followed by the UNS Freedom. One by one, the human fleet that had slept for 5,000 years began to move. Each ship was a weapon of unimaginable power. Each captain was a veteran of humanity's greatest wars. On the bridge of the Retribution, Morrison watched the tactical display as his fleet came online. 300 ships, enough firepower to reshape the galaxy. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the hegemony. They are offering unconditional surrender. Too late. They have had 5,000 years to do the right thing. Sir, the Zephyrian Collective is evacuating their slave worlds. Good. Oracle, mark them as non-hostile for now, but keep monitoring. Yes, Captain. The human fleet spread out across the galaxy like an unstoppable tide. Each ship carried the same message. The age of oppression was over. Any species that had grown fat on the suffering of others was about to face judgment. The Krex dynasty tried to negotiate. They offered tribute, territory, even complete submission. But Morrison's response was always the same. You should have thought of that before you enslaved an entire star system. The hegemony tried to fight. Their fleet was larger than the Valerian. Empires had been. But size meant nothing against technology that was 5,000 years more advanced. The Battle of Hegemony Prime lasted exactly 37 minutes. The Zephyrian Collective kept their word. They freed their slaves and began dismantling their oppressive laws. Morrison marked them as potential allies. But there were others. The Keltheran Syndicate, the Morphic Union, the Apex Consortium. Each one was a cancer on the galaxy. Each one fell to human weapons. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from Earth Command. Morrison looked up in surprise. Earth Command? Oracle, I thought Earth was abandoned. Sir, the transmission is coming from the Centauri system. It appears that some humans remained in the galaxy. Put it through. The face of an elderly human woman appeared on the screen. She wore the uniform of the old United Nations Space Force. Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Sarah Johnson of Earth Command. We have been monitoring your actions. Admiral, I was not aware that any human forces remained in the galaxy. A small contingent stayed behind to monitor the situation. We have been waiting for your return. What is your assessment of the current situation? The galaxy is in chaos. Your actions have inspired dozens of independence movements. Former slave species are rising up against their masters. The old order is collapsing. Morrison nodded. Good. That was the point. Captain, there is something else. We have been developing new technologies while you were away. The galaxy is about to see what 5,000 years of human advancement can really do. What kind of technologies? Terraforming devices that can reshape entire worlds. Industrial replicators that can build fleets in days instead of years. Medical technology that can cure any disease. Morrison felt a surge of pride. Humanity had not just survived, they had thrived. Admiral, what are your orders? Build a better galaxy, Captain. One where freedom and justice are more than just words. The transmission ended. Morrison looked out at the stars and saw a different future. A galaxy where species could grow and prosper without fear. Where technology served life instead of death. Where the strong protected the weak instead of exploiting them. Oracle, how many oppressive regimes remain? 17 major powers, Captain. But their resistance is crumbling. Many are surrendering without a fight. And the liberation movements? Growing stronger every day, sir. Former slave species are taking control of their home worlds. They are requesting human assistance with rebuilding. Morrison nodded. Grant their requests. Deploy construction teams to help with infrastructure. Medical teams to treat the wounded. Educational teams to help them build democratic governments. Sir, that will require a massive commitment of resources. Then we will commit them. Humanity did not return to this galaxy to become another empire. We came back to fix what we found. Broken. 6 months later, the transformation was complete. The great oppressive empires had fallen. In their place, hundreds of new democratic governments were taking shape. Former slaves were learning to govern themselves. Former enemies were learning to live in peace. The UNS Retribution sat in orbit around New Geneva, the capital world of the newly formed Galactic Alliance. Representatives from every free species had gathered to sign the Charter of Universal Rights. Morrison stood on the bridge and watched the ceremony on the main screen. Beings that had been enemies for millennia were working together to build something better. Sir, we are receiving reports from across the galaxy. Crime rates are down. Trade is increasing. Scientific cooperation is at an all-time high. And the former oppressor species? Most are adapting well to the new order. The Valerians have established a democratic government. The hegemony worlds are holding free elections. Even the Kreks are learning to live without slaves. Morrison smiled. Oracle, what is the status of the human fleet? All vessels are operational, Captain. But most are now serving as peacekeepers and construction vessels rather than warships. Good. That is what they were always meant to be. Sir, there is one more thing. We are detecting signals from beyond the galactic rim. Deep space monitoring. Stations are picking up transmissions. What kind of transmissions? Unknown, sir. But the patterns suggest intelligent origin. It appears we are not alone in the universe. Morrison looked out at the stars with anticipation.